What's up, everybody? It's MGE, multi-talented, Giga Chad, 1,000+ years experience, no life, here to bring you content. And by the way, nobody is subscribed. What the? Time to get this show on the road. New avatar, new me, new
base.
Once you've built everything shown here, I'd say you've completed Tier 1. This starter base has 2 second floor entrances, each with ankle biters, making an early raid attempt an easy defend. The drop downs can be defended with traps, and inside we have all of the starting storage and items, and the TC is decently hidden. So this is the full starter base footprint. The TC will get built in one of these 2 triangle edges like so. If you cannot build walls around this entire footprint right at the start, you could build out this 1x1 and door it off. This secures a small space for you and your team to work out of in the very beginning. The ideal way to start on this base design would be by walling in this entire edge of the footprint like here. The main reason, other than for more space, is it forces enemies to have to at least ladder in or boost up to even see you. Now that being said, we also need to get in, so we can add this foundation, which is permanent, with a twig half wall to jump in. Same thing on this square over here. This allows access like this. Now you can add these jump ins like I did now, or you can wait until you have built the rest of the first floor. The next thing we build will be 2 entrances going up, one here and one here. To do this, we will start with the wall here, with the single door frame up a half a height above the foundation like this. After adding this square, you can see how the ankle peak takes shape. This triangle is the way up, so we'll add a wall to section it off too. The same thing on this side. When both are built, we can fill in the remaining holes in the ceiling. Only these 4 holes should remain. Now we need the ability to go up and down here. You can build a twig half floor if you want, but I like to use a furnace on each side. Since you could just go through this door in this state, we need to add the following stuff to turn this into a proper peak. Now our pathing to get in and out looks like this. In most cases, you will start with a double door here first, but for the video, I will go right into garage doors. We will come back to this area in just a second because personally, I like to add a double door up on the top here for each entrance. This gives us control and security in the jump ups of our base, making door camping practically impossible. The same build gets done here on the other side. This is where I like double doors since they open faster and are the last door touching the outside world. If they open outward, they will even form an airlock on the second floor when we build it. On the inside here, what we have is TC room, loot room, battery room, loot room. I'll put the battery in now, but you could place it later too. You can use a window or a door here, and a door makes it easier to place the battery later on. For the loot rooms, we'll use the half-height floor with the wall frame. A ramp on each height, which I like to upgrade to metal immediately, which makes the boxes much easier to place. Same thing on the TC side loot room. These ramps also act like an extra wall if the raiders come through the wall behind it. I like to face the garage doors this way to cover the industrial stuff later on. We'll add stone frames into these two slots with the garage doors facing the jump ups towards the outside. Next, we'll add a single door to the ankle peaks. When adding in these single doors, they should swing towards the inside so that it doesn't restrict your vision of the outside. As you progress, you'll need more and more cooking capacity, so adding in 2 furnaces on each side here brings you up to 6. Now, in effort to save time, I'll use this magic trick to place the rest of the deployable stuff inside the core. You can use sleeping bags until you get beds, you can label the boxes whatever you need at the time, and the workbench level 2 can go down here for now. All this stuff will depend on your progression in the wipe itself. As for future upgrades, everything that was built out of stone here will turn into metal eventually, and high qual much later on towards the end. Everything except these twig half walls, because if you upgrade those, the base is fine. From now on in the video, I will build in the final grade of each piece to save us both time. First, we add in this single door. The final door will be armored, and in combination with this double door, forms an airlock just in case. The second entrance goes on the opposite side. Multiple ways in and out of your main base these days is pretty much a necessity. This floor is pretty simple though. We'll just wall in the remaining edge. We seal the entire roof in, except for the jump ups above the ankle biters. We'll use wall frames throughout this small hallway and also in front of each of the bedrooms. Now there is an extra triangle per bedroom. Do what you want with this. My personal favorite is a locker behind a window frame just like this. This next floor will lead into our mini open core. Now we'll build the same as we did for the ankle biters, but use a wall frame here instead so that we can travel through it. Until we build the open core loot room itself, these 2 doors act as multiple roof access points. You can use sheet metal doors up here until later, but the final state is garage doors. Now using the magic trick once again, this is what the mini bedroom floor looks like in its final state. Remember to customize all of this for your individual playstyle. This is simply an example. Now we will build a compound. First we'll need some foundations that outline the shell, but also give us the spacing for the externals. Best way to remember the build order is, we face the door like this and place a square on each side of the triangle. Next, in the same orientation, to the right we'll place triangle, then square. What this gives us is 4 sections of 2 triangle indents. Check around the base to make sure this is true. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. From one of the triangle indents we'll build triangle, 2 squares, and a triangle cap. We delete these and build back with triangles like this. These 3 are permanent and break the rest. Next we have 2 permanent squares and triangles. This is the gatehouse footprint. For the disconnectable part, we build a temporary square and 5 triangles like this, with the last one being permanent. 2 half walls must face the gatehouse and seal the rest normally for an external TC. Now we can break all of this build up and place a single door on the front of the gatehouse. For the frames we'll use square here, triangle, 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 and the way you disconnect this is by placing a square roof here. This will allow you to replace your main TC if that becomes a necessity. After you replace the TC, you can reattach it like this. For the gatehouses, I personally like to have the half wall low wall combo facing out and the windows facing in. Next, the roof goes on and I use a double door on the inside. On the window side, I add a triangle foundation with this half floor setup to cut the window in half. After building all 4 of these, it should look like this. Now you notice there is this extra triangle on each side of the shell. We'll add in 2 triangles and 2 squares, which will be bedrooms. The windows will still face in and act like a funnel wall, and also will be an airlock for the compound gates we will build soon. A wall frame here and a solid roof, and then we build the same thing on the opposite side. The deployables are a garage door on the inside and eventually an armored door on the front. I like these horizontal embrasures on the inside to have more FOV of the compound. The bedrooms get vertical embrasures on the inside as well. Each half gets a locker and a bed, and to add this frame in, you just have to add this half wall first. Garage doors on the front of these as well. Next we'll add in the high external stone walls. So essentially there are 2 sections we have to build, the one with the gate and the one without the gate. The one with large furnaces will go in between the 2 gatehouses in this location. The placements are simple, a V shape, and we can use the Alt key to look over and see if there's enough room for the second wall. Remember, you can now remove the walls if you place one wrong. W update. The first large furnace doesn't have to be as high as this one, but it should be as close to the walls as possible. Take your time to do this properly because it is kind of important. The second one goes right in front of it, and you do want this one to be as low as possible. The second section goes up against the back of these 2 bedrooms, and the walls can be placed in this general angle that lines up with the gatehouses. There is nothing cookie cutter about these placements, but you don't want to leave gaps when you place the gate. Now once again, these don't have to be placed perfectly, but they do need to be placed within a certain range of angles to avoid gaps. When you place it in the correct spot, this will form an airlock into the compound. And that is the compound pretty much done. The last thing we need to add is barricades so that people cannot ladder in over the gatehouses for free. For the barricades, we can add this twig first to place them. This can be done with 2 barricades by lining up the center with the sheet metal floor to leave no gaps in the middle. Now be careful while placing these because you want to make sure that there's no gaps by the stone walls. Repeat this on all sides, the compound will be finished, and we can start on building our main loot. To build main loot, we'll start on the top and we'll wall in the edge like this. On the triangle across from the entrance, add in a wall on each side. We can add the ceiling above the square and the triangle part. These will be the entrances into the open core. Now we can come to the top and we'll want to place floors the same shape as the bottom of the shell foundations. The only exception is we don't want to copy that triangle in the middle of the two squares down here. Instead, there will be two spots up here that have square and then square. The rest is pretty much square, triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle. When done, it should look exactly like this. Next, above each entrance, we want to add 3 half walls, a floor frame, and a ramp facing this way. If we place 2 full walls behind it like so, we have the turret that looks down on main loot. Repeat this above the other entrance. At this point, although main loot is not finished, it is still best to wire these up and turn them on, because these could protect your entire roof for the time being. Now we can wall in the following places. Be sure not to seal in the entrances or the 2 triangles in the very middle. Next we'll place a triangle above each of the entrances, and these will become the jump ups to the roof later on. The next thing I like to do is wall in this entire edge. This is the top layer of honeycomb for the main loot room floors and will be used as bedrooms and utility rooms on this level. We'll want as much stability as possible now, and we can add some in by finishing the structure around the main loot room. There will be this wall, a half-height floor with ramps, and a frame on the front of each. There is also a spot here that needs to be filled in. You can either use a wall frame here for a door, or if you have a locker ready to go, you can place a window frame here, which is my personal favorite. A frame for the door that leads into main loot, and then build the same thing on the other side. Next we'll want to wall in the 2 exact spots up here. We use this build up to get a half-height floor onto the wall. This is an extension to the open core below for boxes and allows you to access a couple of them from up here, which is kinda cool in my opinion. The ramps should match the ones below, and then we can seal off these 2 top triangles. Now across all of the honeycomb we just built, we need to add a frame for stability. We'll also use these frames for doors and for each of the bedrooms and all of the utility rooms. These 2 frames are the trickiest. You have to place them from main loot and they go right up on this half height with the ramps for the turrets. Now we can add a roof to this entire thing, except for the 2 triangles in the very middle, which will become our roof access point. Our pathing through here is something like this. There's always a way to get into each bedroom, down to main loot, and then back up to the roof. Now we'll add a window on each of the opposite sides of the ramps. This will give us vision of the roof without having to commit to opening the doors up top. The 2 roof doors will go in these frames, and the top should be solid. You can now see how the top of the base is starting to take form. Oh, and I just realized that I forgot to add these 2 frames. They are on the path between main loot and the top roof, and they both will get garage doors in the final build. When the main loot is finished, it will look something like this. We have the locker behind glass or an embrasure, workbenches, sleeping bags or beds if you want. We have 2 shelves of 6 large boxes totaling 12, garage doors in all slots. At the top of each jump up, I've added a ramp with 2 boxes, which I'd like to use for drop boxes and for extra stuff. You can make these bedrooms more elaborate. This is a default locker and bed setup. Both turrets have a ton of coverage over all of this, and there are 4 bedrooms and 2 ramp rooms in total. On the final part of the roof, I've added armored windows. I want to be able to see out of these but remain safe too. You can use these combined with embrasures so you can fight off any enemies on your roof. Next, we will build up the shell and the wide gaps. There will be 4 sets of wide gaps, one going on each of these sets of 3 triangles. We'll start with 3 half walls with window frames on the top of them. A triangle here, 2 roofs, and a turret goes on the triangle. This protects the inner shell and parts of the compound. The roof is like this, and then from the top we'll go up 2 high with frames like so. A half floor on the top of the middle frame and windows on the left and right. Facing the base, we'll add 2 full walls and slanty triangle roofs like this. These are the grenade chutes. From the roof, 2 triangles on the floor here, and then bring up a window frame on the half wall. Add in the other part of the wide gap floor, add half walls here to level out the top. We put 3 triangles here, and then we can use the triangle slanty roofs to make the full turret pods. The turret goes right in the center triangle here. When it comes to which embrasure to use, it's up to you, but I personally like to use vertical embrasures on the following windows. Now it should look like this. When you repeat this on the other 3 sections, it will have these 2 different types of gaps. 1 and 2. We'll build up these gaps first because it's way easier. We'll add a wall frame on the bottom with your double door of choosing and 2 full walls connecting all the way to the top. Repeat this for the second section that has the same gap. The other gap, which is around and above the bedrooms, gets built up like this. We'll add the same wall frames on both foundations like this, 2 full walls above with these as well, and then the middle section is a little bit different. We'll want to add a full wall, a half wall, and then a slanty roof. Now we want to bring up this center triangle with 3 frames on both sides. This will have the other type of peek downs. To build it from the roof here, we'll add this triangle, 2 windows, and a top. We'll add an armored double door here, swinging outwards to maximize our vision down. Same thing gets built on the other side. The roof should now look like this. The windows in here are meant for vision on a raid base, so I like to add windows here so the raid base is no threat to me while I'm peeking down. For the remaining spaces on the roof, we'll add in these slanty roofs. I like to keep them normal sheet metal texture because these allow you to peek down from the very tip of them. There are 2 of these doors, and these will double as our 2 windmill towers. We can add 2 triangles like this if you want spotlights, and then 2 high frame towers like this. The triangles on top I like to face into the roof for symmetry, and then the windmill goes on the top. Repeat this on the other side. After that, the base should look like this. This next part is optional but very convenient and easy to build. We can build this and adding vending machines up here, which can be used to sell stuff and to transfer items from outposts. On the very top here, you can also add in a SAM site if you want. You can add in multiple SAM sites if you extend the top, but that's up to you. From the bottom of the shell, and similar to how we did the main loop, we'll want to add this section of honeycomb. We'll do this by matching the shape of the foundations on the bottom shell and adding floors at this height here. When it wraps around fully, you'll want to come up here and wall off everything with the hard sides facing out. You can do this exactly like this. For this last place, we'll add a temporary floor to stand on and place the last wall and then break it. On each of the entrances, we'll add the following pieces. This is so that if someone is in a raid base and breaks the walls in front of the door, they will never have direct vision of this door, allowing for easier movement around your base. Remember to repeat the same build order on the other entrance. As far as structure, the base is done. The only thing that remains is electrical and industrial, all optional stuff. The 3 large batteries go in these 3 spots though. If you are interested, you'll want to add my auto lighting furnace array here using this video. Link will also be in the description below. The rest is just wiring up all the turrets, and you can of course add industrial lights everywhere if you want to see while it's nighttime.